likes of the Paytm, the WeChat, the Alipay. And so what is important to note is that in payments, there are many different methodologies or delivery mechanisms for payment types based on a particular scenario.
Definitely, definitely. Unfortunately, as these things go, we always clean out the time. So I'll give you 60 seconds each, 30 seconds each, just to let the general public know if they want to become a part of the Canoe family, how they can do that. Very quickly, Mr. Davis.
Well, first of all, go to our website, www.canoepays.com, and there's a wealth of information there in terms of what we do, how we do it, and how you can reach us, including we have multiple social media channels, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I believe we even have a TikTok now, and other channels that persons can reach us. I think that individuals should take a look. I always tell persons, investigate, review, analyze, and make an informed decision. We are confident that when making that decision, Canoe will be the choice for you as it relates to your business and engaging your customers and seeking payments and other things for them.
Okay, thank you. You now have 10 seconds, Mr. Reese, since Mr. Davis took your third 20.
I would just follow up on what Mr. Davies said, and I would say inspect what you expect. Please look under the hood, download Canoe, check us out, and let us know for yourself what you feel and what you think, because we feel as though we've delivered something great for the Bahamas that Bahamians can be proud of.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We were speaking with the principals of Canoe, the chairman and co-founder, Mr. Nicholas Reese, and the CEO, Mr. Keith Davis. You have been watching You and Your Money. I'm your host, Hubert Edwards. It's certainly a pleasure bringing you this segment. Good evening.
Andros is the #1 bone fishing destination on our planet. Sports fishermen visit our flats every year to participate in one of the most fulfilling outdoor activities known to man, fly fishing. And guess what? It's 100% sustainable. Without areas like the west side of Andros, sustaining this industry would be absolutely impossible. So let's take care of nature, and nature will take care of us.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station. ZNS Network.
The views expressed on this show, interview, or program are not necessarily the views expressed
by the ZNS Radio Network
and by extension the Broadcasting Corporation of
the Bahamas.
It's informative, thought-provoking, and entertaining. Immediate response on the ZNS Network, examining the issues you care about. So pull up a chair, call your neighbors, loved ones, family, and friends. Set your dials. Immediate response starts now with your host, Spence Finlayson.
Good morning, Bahamas. Good morning, world. Welcome to Immediate Response. This is Diana's last child, Spence Finlayson. Today we have another great show lined up for you, but as usual we go to Pastor Oral Ellis, who is in Bimini today, and he will do a prayer for the nation. Pastor Ellis, good morning.
Good morning, Lisa. How you doing?
I am standing on the promises, sir. Thank you for agreeing to say the prayer for us, sir. You may begin.
We shall go on.
Yes, sir.
Let us pray. Father, our God, in whom we trust, God, we say to you, thank you for the gift of life this morning, and thank you for who you are. Lord, you've truly been good to us in spite of it all. We have a hallelujah, and we have a praise. We honor you. We exalt you. We magnify your name. We lift up this nation called the Commonwealth of the Bahamas this morning. And so, Father, we are tested and tried on every hand and on every side. But you promise you'll never leave us nor forsake us. Lo, you are with us always, even to the end. Even in the midst of this pandemic, Lord, hundreds have been lost. But through it all, we still say, in all things, give thanks. And so we give you thanks, not for the debt, but in the debt, we still have thanks. And so we thank you for all things. We pray that you continue to keep us safe, Lord God, that we would come out of this pandemic, Lord God, giving you all honor, glory, and praise. And so we pray for all of our leaders, our clerical leaders, surgical leaders, all of our spiritual leaders, governmental leaders, leaders of all departments, military, rank and file, in every sector in our nation. Blessings of God be upon us. Cover this network, cover this man of God that operate this station today and operate this show. Blessings be upon us as we move forward through the rest of the day, that whatever will be said and done as a result of this is for your honor and for your glory. And we say thank you and be blessed today in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Pastor Aaron, thank you so much. Tell us the name of your church in Bimini, Pastor. Born Again Church. Yeah, and thank you for yesterday. You did a great job along with your brother Prince Ellis when we featured Bimini in the Family Island Spotlight.
Yes, I've got a feedback positively, even under this morning and a half. I've never been told.
Right, we need to do another part.
Yeah, we left out many names. I was told, and I was shocked. Ben Boy was entered the Hall of Fame for Howard University.
Yes, we need to talk about Bain Boy when we do the next show.
Yes.
Thank you again.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Good morning, Bahamas. This show is proudly sponsored by BTC, The Paint Place, Janae's Uniform Center, Tire Flex Star Motors, Bahamas Credit Union, Island Windshield, S&M Uniforms, Screen and Fasteners World, and Bahamas Retina and Eye Care Services in Sandy Port. My guest today is Mr. Leon Williams, who is the former CEO of BTC and also an employee of Batelco. Today, we're taking a look back at Batelco from its early days, and we're going to highlight some people who made Batelco what it is today as we fast forward from Batelco to BTC. So I know I have the right person in the house today to give us the history and all the facts, and we'll be calling some names and everything else. Welcome to Immediate Response.
It's good to be back again.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
It's been a while.
Right. That's right. Leon, tell us about your start at Batelco in the early days.
In the early days.
Was that an 8 Mile Rock?
You really want to go that far?
Well, yeah, let's go. We want to bring it back to where we are. Yeah, some of the people who made an impact.
I understand. When I graduated from high school in Grand Bahama, my parents sent me into Nassau. Right. And so I applied for a job at Batelco back in Freeport. And I came into Nassau on the 4th of January, 1968.
Wow.
So you have to put that in context.
Yes.
Majority rule came in 67.
Yes.
So this is 68. And I was assigned, Batelco at that time was trying to recruit some young men. So there was a whole cohort of us that came in. Mm-hmm. Myself, people like Nigel Smith, Turnquest, who later became the president of the union, Steve Turnquest.
Steve, really?
Steve, yeah. Steve.
My good friend Steve Turnquest?
Alfred Phillips.
Yeah, Alfred Phillips.
Leonard Adderley.
Leonard, yes.
Adderley. And so we all came in, and I was assigned to the telephone repair department.
Okay.
And that was located on East Street and Bay Street, where the police station presently is. That used to be...
East Street.
And Bay.
Okay, all right. Now, this is after what we call telecoms.
This is after telecoms.
After telecoms.
Batelco telecoms became Batelco in 1966. 1966.
Right.
So, 1892, the telegraph submarine cable was laid between Jupiter, Florida, and Goodman's Bay. And it came in on Goodman's Bay, came up on wooden poles down to Vendue House on Bay Street.
So that's why they call that area Cable Beach.
Cable Beach, you got it.
Wow, interesting.
1892.
1892.
In February of 1892.
Yes.
And so from 1892, telephones came into New Providence in 1906. Now, you got to remember what kind of telephones that was. The ring,
I'm trying to picture that right now.
So it was 150 line was the capacity of the exchange at that time.
At that time, yes.
And so if, you know, the rental was £5 per year.
Per year? Wow. Per year?
And you got a discount if you got more than one phone.
Wow. Wow. £5 a year was the rental.
Rental.
Wow.
Okay, so,
yes.
So electricity never came in. Commercial electricity never came until 1908.
Okay.
So telecoms came 2 years ahead of electricity, which meant that when you went throughout the Family Islands, even up into the 80s, many of the islands, Batelco provided its own power and electricity to power the telecommunications.
It had to do its own.
It had to do its own.
Okay.
And for years, and then many of the keys still.
Really?
Up in the 90s.
In the keys?
Yeah. I remember working in McLeanstown when BTC had these generators. They were running 24/7, so you had 2 generators.
Yeah.
And so I came in 1968.
68.
What was interesting at that time was that the country was on a high.
Right, yes.
This is after 67.
Right.
And you remember the elections came back in 68.
Yes.
And so I was working, my first boss would have been Ulysses Culmer.
An Lutheran man.
Bless his soul, you know, he passed.
Yes. This was in Grand Bahama?
No, Nassau.
Right here in Nassau?
I started Nassau.
Okay.
I joined BTC in Nassau.
Okay.
Nassau.
Yes.
So a lot of Steve Turnquest and those came in from Long Island. So there's a lot of people came in from the Family Islands. You get to work at 7:30 in the morning for an 8 o'clock, you know, start.
Right.
And the guys will be playing whist in the back there. One of my first bosses, I always tease him a lot, Nesbitt Higgins.
Yeah, Nesbitt. The legendary Nesbitt Higgins.
And so you had the exchange there supplied Bay Street. And so Edsel Strawn was...
Edsel, yes.
Edsel Strawn. I thought Edsel Strawn had the heaviest tool bag of anybody. Now, back then, you got to remember, trainee technician, like us.
Yes.
You couldn't ride in the inside of the truck.
No, where did you ride? At the back of the truck.
Number one. Either that or you drive.
Okay.
So here is, I am not old enough to get a driver's license.
Right, so you...
Okay. So you had to learn to drive. So I drove without a driver's license. My dad taught me in Grand Bahama how to drive from the time I was 13 years old.
Right.
So coming into Nassau, and back then it was all 6 shifts, so there was no automatic.
Wow, so that's...
So baptism by fire.
Yes.
And in 1968, let's rewind to 1966. In 1966, the government of the day came out with the Telecommunications Act of 1966. And the act took the telecom department, which was the telephone plus telegraph. People called it telecoms.
Telecoms, yes.
Telecoms.
Right.
And created a statutory corporation, the Bahamas Telecommunications Corporation, trading as Batelco. So in June 1966, Batelco was birthed. The government of the day did not think that Bahamians were qualified to run a company, a telephone company.
Yes.
So they hired a company called Page Telecommunications.
I remember
Company
Page.
Out of Washington.
Yes.
Okay. Which meant that all the executives at that time running BTC and the engineers were all expats.
All expats? All the engineers?
All expats.
So how did our engineers learn? Well, I know you will surely tell us.
And so in 1968, a year afterwards, Arthur Folks became the minister for
tourism, responsible for Batelco.
For Batelco. And Batelco headquarters was where UB Library is, where you...
Oh, yes, right. Yeah, chapter 1.
Right, chapter 1.
Yes.
Okay, that was... that
was the headquarters.
Until Loftus Roca became the minister, and he built a building on JFK. And so in 1968, the technicians and everybody else decided that they were going to demonstrate. The CEO or general manager at the time was called Mr. Wayne Wright. So here it is, this little boy out of high school, out of Grand Bahama. Don't know nothing but Nassau. But back in those days, when your superiors like Higgins and them say, go.
You go.
You go.
Yeah. That was a serious thing then. Yeah. You didn't take that lightly.
No. And then, of course, the senior people like, you know, Vance Major and Lester Garden and those. So junior technician, you couldn't even talk to the senior technicians, you know what I mean? And so when the big bosses like Orman Poitier and Eddie Granger, they come down, they will be standing up. And when you pass by, it's almost like you got to salute them, you know?
Right.
But was there no talking? You know, no conversation. And so I get down there, and we are marching around the headquarters building. And Nesbitt Higgins put a sign on me. I always tease him about this. And my sign read, Mr. Wright is wrong.
Okay.
This is the gentleman.
Yes.
But I'm holding the sign up because right there is Government High.
Yes.
So I don't want the girls in Government High to see me marching around. And I'm trying to say, what am I going to tell my parents back in Grand Bahama?
Right.
And so you got thrown right into it.
Wow.
That business. But the union was powerful from back then. And so 14 of the BTC employees, like Roscoe Davis.
He just died. Sympathies.
My condolences.
Condolences to Mr. Davis' family, yes.
Roscoe was good to me.
Mm-hmm.
When I became the assistant general manager with responsibilities for Grand Bahama and Bimini, he at that time had released, I think, Principal Paul as the AGM responsible.
You're calling some names now. Human resources.
Human resources.
Yes, you're calling some names.
Now, back
Principal
then,
Paul.
people should know that. Listen, you had to be in the technical field. You had to be an engineer to get promoted to that level. All the general manager.
They were technical.
Even Roscoe Davis, who was really technical, outside plant engineer. You know. So he, along with 14 people, Mackie Williams.
Mackie Williams,
He was also a unionist.
Okay.
He came to Grand Bahama and was my boss in Grand Bahama. And so all these guys were upstairs having a meeting with the minister, Arthur Folks.
Yes.
And what Sir Arthur Folks did was Sir Arthur Folks made the agreement that was established in 1966 to bring Page in. Basically, he annulled the agreement. And he appointed the first Bahamian executive team, 1968.
Of
Batelco. And he appointed Ari Knowles.
I keep hearing about Mr. Knowles. Yeah, I keep hearing about Mr. Knowles. He was legendary.
As the first Bahamian general manager. And so you ended up with people like TV Arnott.
Yes. This is a man from San Salvador.
Carl Bethel,
yes. Carl Bethel. The Carl Bethel from ZNS.
No.
Which Carl Bethel you mean? Hold on. Which
Carl Bethel from BTC, but from Batelco.
Carl Bethel?
Carl Bethel ended up being senior deputy general manager at the time.
I know there was a Bethel, but I didn't remember his name was Carl.
Aubrey Curling,
yes, Mr. Curling.
Bob Bartlett.
The legendary Bob Bartlett. Good man.
Aaron Leash.
Another good man. The Wheel. They call him the Wheel. Yes,
you know,
the Wheel.
The Wheel.
The Wheel, yeah.
I worked with Boots until the time then Boots went to work with him.
The great Boots Beach? We got to send morning to Boots Beach.
Yeah.
He's tuned into this program this morning. He's tuned in.
Yeah. Boots and I I always say were roommates because we spent about 3-4 weeks together in San Francisco.
Really?
On
I remember you.
And then we went up into Montreal, Canada.
They say San Francisco will never be the same again.
My first set of management books I got from Boots.
Boots Beach? Wow.
First set. He introduced me to leadership.
Boots Beach. And shout out to Boots this morning. But speaking of that, Leon Williams, back then, those men were revered.
Of course.
And those names you call, I mean, just to hear that they in the building, you know, you're in the building and you hear Mr. Leach is out there or Mr. Bartlett. But things have changed. But we won't talk about that right now.
Not right now.
We'll fast forward to that. But they were revered.
They were revered.
Yeah, those people. Yeah.
And you could imagine, first of all, you're coming out, this is 1 year after majority rule.
Right.
You're replacing an entire expat management team.
With a Bahamian team.
Wow. So people are expecting you. Some people
Expect you to fail. Yeah, they were expecting you to fail.
So the competition was, and one thing I can say back then, BTC trained its people. Oh, they spend money on training. So there was a cohort, Michael Simonet.
Mr. Simonet, yes.
Mr. Simonet, my boss.
Yes,
and stuff,
yes.
Former general manager and stuff like that.
Yes.
They sent
Barrett Russell.
All these guys, George Moss. All these guys came back to the Bahamas with their bachelor's and their master's degrees in engineering.
So training was very important.
Very important. So these were not token positions that these guys would get. These guys were qualified.
Right.
So if you see all of the engineering work that these guys would have done.
Yes. To bring it.
Keeping in mind, Nassau was the center, and back then there were no phones in places like 8 Mile Rock.
No phones.
There was one phone at the corner, the bonded area of 8 Mile Rock, a coin box, because back then in Freeport, in particular, it was a telephone company, GBTEL. GBTEL.
That was owned by the port?
Owned by the port, and then later sold to Continental Telephone.
Yes.
And called it Contel.
Contel, yes.
So they could not provide telephone services outside the bonded area. So places like Pindus Point, McLean,
didn't have.
they didn't have telephone services.
Let me ask you this, Leon Williams. Name some of the top engineers. Now, you might get in trouble. Some of the top engineers that were at Batelco back in the day. You named a couple already, but just share a couple of those names.
As trainees, we were put into the classroom.
Okay.
So you did, and of course, you ended up down at the
football track?
Technical Center.
Oh, the Technical Center, yeah.
We went to the technical school.
Yes.
They did courses down there at Oaksfield.
Right.
So we would get off at 5 o'clock.
And then you have to go?
And we had to walk back then. You know,
right.
most only, I'm going to knock Nesbitt. Only fellas like Nesbitt them could afford a car, right? But we had to walk, or you had your little Beretta scooter, right?
right.
So we would walk down to Technical and stay there, me and Steve and the rest of us, until 9 o'clock at night, and then walk home from Oaksfield.
Yes.
Of course, on Saturdays we did more walking because since we wanted to do the nightclubs, on a Saturday, you put on your penny loafers and you walk to that fiddle, and then you go to a Dasher Gardens where Jay Mitchell was, and then you go to Banana Boat.
Really? You made all those rounds, Leon? You made all those rounds?
We go. I was the son of a preacher, but I'm in Nassau.
I know.
But so they would have these classes, and I admired people like Barrett Russell.
Barrett Russell,
man
from the valley.
As an engineer, would come to Grand Bahama when we put up a microwave link.
Yes.
And he would say to me, excuse me, Leon, let me see. The loss in free space is 120 dBs. The gain of the antenna is such and such. The loss in the waveguide is such and such.
He was sharp like that.
And he says, listen, this AGC on automatic gain control is not good enough. You're probably sitting on a side lobe.
Wow.
Kelsey Jennings would be teaching us mathematics.
Yes.
And
this was serious stuff, Leon Williams.
And back then, when I went to school, you were not allowed, when I went to Jamaica, you were not allowed calculators. Well, first of all, there were a few calculators
around.
And you couldn't afford to buy one.
So you had to do it the manual way.
The slide rule. So you're doing your calculus, and the best you're doing, your sine and your cosine on a slide rule.
Right.
And we used to be bragging about who's got the largest slide rule. But Kelsey Jennings knew the 4-figure tables out his head. Asking what is the number for sine or the cosine or tangent.
Yes.
He could say it out his head.
Right off.
And these guys would be adding numbers, 4-digit numbers in their head. And I just sit down and said, boy, I just want to be like these guys.
Right.
So Barrett Russell,
yes.
George Moss.
George Moss. He ended up as the general manager at Water and Sewage Corporation, right?
Corporation, yes. And ended up at the PUC after.
The PUC, yes, that's right.
PUC after.
That's right.
And so when it was time to build the submarine cable between New Providence, 8 Mile Rock, and West Palm Beach, a whole group were BTC had a development team. A whole group of technicians came into Grand Bahama to build back in 1971, 72.
Oh.
I had just come back from Jamaica, so I was assigned there. Ed Gittins.
Ed Valpole Gittins. Valpole in Grand Bahama.
So he had just come back from London.
Ed Gittins.
Gittins, right.
Morning, Valpole.
and so we were assigned as the Grand Bahama. I should say that I was called into TV Honest's office. TV Honest looked at my file and said, your mom and dad lives in Grand Bahama?
Yeah.
I said, yes, sir. Now, I didn't want to go home because my brother Kelvin was a student at SAC.
Yeah, Kelvin, yeah.
And I would spend summer. Kelvin never went home from SAC, right? TV Honest called me. They transferred me back to Grand Bahama.
You didn't want to go?
No housing allowance, no nothing.
No?
But when those guys say do something,
you do it.
You do it.
Yes.
So I was the second black technician, Bahamian technician
in Grand Bahama. You serious?
All the other technicians there were expats.
Right.
Germans, French Canadians. Julian Allen was the
yeah, I remember Julian. Yes, Julian Allen.
Julian was the first to go to Grand Bahama.
Okay.
I was the second.
So who were some of the people you worked with in Grand Bahama when you went down there, Leon? From the engineering standpoint, then we'll go to the other parts.
From the engineering standpoint, Don Thompson was sent down to Grand Bahama.
Okay.
Don was in charge of Soldier Road, and he was sent down in charge to replace the expats. Because, they gradually phased the technical people out.
Oh, right.
Okay. So when we just, Batelco decided to build the 8 Mile Rock complex, it was basically designed by George Moss.
Whoa.
Yeah. He was the chief, you look at it, he was
George Moss was sharp like that.
George Moss, Barrett Russell.
Yes.
They were, Barrett was on and Leander Bethel.
Leander Bethel, yes.
On the radio and toll side. And on the telephone side, Cedric Farquharson.
Reverend Cedric Farquharson now.
Cedric
yes.
Farquharson. Winston Ash.
Yeah, Brother Ash, yes.
Oh, Ash was a sharp. I can tell you, we had a failure down there, and I actually saw these guys wait 48 hours non-stop without a break. And then Ash they just cried,
Right, yes.
24 hours after we cut the system in, it failed.
Yes.
So Cedric, I always thought that he might have been general manager.
right.
But these were the sharp, and they sent a whole group. Pino Capron and Arlington Hanna.
Yeah, Arlington Hanna. Good morning, Arlington Hanna.
John Dillett.
John Dillett. Yeah, that's a whole group went down.
All the technical people. Because you remember, BTC did its own air conditioning. Claridge was in charge of the electrical.
Yes.
So Claridge did all the electrical. Simmons did all the air conditioning. And then you had all these other guys that came to do the frames. And then you had the guys to Drexel Curry them to do the wiring and all that sort of thing. And so they spent...
You had a self-contained unit down there. You had a great unit down there.
No, that wasn't self-contained.
No?
In that big building in 8 Mile Rock?
Yes.
Yeah, no. Well, it contained the fact that it provided telephone services.
Right.
It also provided the connectivity for the Bahamas to Florida.
Right, to Palm Beach.
To Palm Beach.
Yes.
Because remember, I don't know if you remember the dishes that was at
I remember the dishes, yes. I remember the dishes.
It replaced those dishes and stuff like that.
I remember those dishes.
Because we didn't have the capacity going out. And the telephone network in Nassau was just growing exponentially.
Yes.
And then by the time we moved on from the minister, other folks, and we ended up with Loftus Roker. And then after
Loftus Roker.
Yeah,
no nonsense man.
no nonsense.
Archibald
After Loftus Roker, you ended up with Darrell Rowe.
Yeah, remember when Mr. Rowe was there?
And BJ. So David had brought Darrell Rowe. And Edison Key would have been the chairman.
Right, yes.
And BTC just grew exponentially. I mean, telephone services on all the islands and stuff, and we could talk some more about that later.
Yes,
but under Darrell Rowe and Edison Key, I think Edison Key was one of the longest-serving chairmen of BTC.
Mr. Key?
Mr. Key.
Yes. So, Leon, tell us about...
He served under... a little piece of Loftus.
Yes,
and then Darrell.
Yes.
And then
he had his own...
B.J. Nottage.
Okay.
And then Vincent Pete came in.
Right,
When
right.
Vincent Pete came in,
yes.
1992.
Tell us what occurred at Ponciano. What was the activity at Ponciano, as you call it fondly, Ponciano?
Yeah.
What was the activity for the general public? What was the activity Batelco at Ponciano?
For the general public, the city exchange, there we call it SO2, SO3.
Right.
Was supplied all downtown city telephones. You got your dial tone from there.
From Ponciano?
No, from the city exchange on East Street.
Oh, that same location,
Yeah.
yes.
Then they built Ponciano.
Okay, yeah.
And Ponciano became what we call, you have different levels of switches. A class 5 switch that you get dialed tone, a class 1 switch, a primary switch that does your international toll. So a self-contained, there was a small building there that supplied telephone services central to the Grandstand area, Angliston area.
Right.
And then they built Ponciano. Ponciano came in to handle the submarine cable that went to replace the Delaport tropospheric scatter, because they would put the signal up, hit it. You notice the dishes look down on the ocean.
Yes.
It'll hit the ocean.
Right.
It'll go up to the troposphere, bounce down to the ocean, hit the ocean, and then end up in Jupiter, Florida. In Florida City.
Okay, interesting.
But when you were talking, or you'll hear in the background,
you could hear that.
Because the fading that took place and stuff.
Right. You just reminded me of something just now. I was told by some close people who lived in the Family Islands that when they had calls come through, it was really a shared line.
Yes.
And they had to wait for this one to use it. And explain how that worked for people who don't really understand that.
So we
in the early days.
So we went from the ring ting ting, where usually the phones were given to the commissioner.
Right.
In the settlement.
In the settlement, right.
Yeah, he was the big dog.
Yeah, commissioner was everything.
So the operators were called.
Right.
Because there was no direct dialing, no DDD, no IDDD, IDDD, and all. So all calls had to be placed by an operator.
Right.
Okay. And the operators was either situated in Ponciano at the time, or back East Street first.
Oh, yes.
They were upstairs. East Street,
yes.
And then they were in Freeport as well.
Yes.
And the operator would then ring, say you want to talk to somebody in Topham Bay.
Topham.
And then
that's a good choice.
They would get the call.
Yeah.
And then they would send a message out to call the person.
Right. So you have to go call the person, then they come.
You come back here.
We have to go to a break, but we'll pick up that when we come back. You're listening to Immediate Response. My guest today is Leon R. Williams, former CEO of BTC. We'll be right back after these messages.
Enjoy an elevated.
There's a spark of greatness in each of us. That spark is called personality. Individual gifts and talents provide the fuel to set that spark ablaze. Each child has the right to an education which values their personality and nurtures their talents, while teaching them to be respectful to their parents and their cultures.
Make your company representative stand out through an embroidery design on your uniforms from Janae's Uniform Center, Chesapeake Road. Janae's utilizes the latest state-of-the-art embroidery technology to monogram large and small quantities of shirts, caps, bags, and other articles. If you don't already have a digitized logo, Janae's can design and digitize your idea and bring it to life. Then install the logo of your choice from their large selections of 27 stock colors of golf shirts in cotton or dry fit, caps, or workwear. Call 394-8385 or 6 or visit www.janaes.com.
Influenza, or the flu as it is commonly called, is a viral illness that usually occurs between the months October to March. The virus is transmitted from person to person through coughing, sneezing, or talking. Symptoms include fever, cough, headache, runny nose, generalized body aches, and fatigue. There is no specific treatment for the flu, and the symptoms usually dissipate after 3 to 7 days. Because it is caused by a virus, antibiotics are not used to treat the flu. Persons are encouraged to rest and drink lots of fluids. Panadol is recommended for fever and body aches associated with the flu. However, aspirin should be avoided due to the risk of bleeding. To decrease the spread of flu, persons are encouraged to get their flu shot annually and practice good cough hygiene. Additional information can be provided by your community clinic or the Health Education Division at the Ministry of Health. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health in partnership with the Public Hospitals Authority.
This is more than just paint. It adds peace to the start of a morning. It's precision and brings the feeling of warmth and comfort. It's care and being surrounded by peaceful hues on lazy days. It's reliability and the added touch for fun with the guys. This is more than just paint. It's the color to our lives. And the paint place does it best. Happy Independence, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Immediate Response on ZNS. I have been joined today by the one and only Leon R. Williams. We're talking about Batelco, its early days, the telephone company, and bringing it right up to today as BTC. Leon, we stopped, before we went to the break, we were talking about the phone system in the Family Islands back in the day.
Back in the day.
I remember my close friends and family.
It was in Nassau as well.
It was in Nassau too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Could I remember them?
First came in.
Really? Well, go ahead and share that for us.
It was that kind of system where the big boxes on the wall, you know. And,
right.
And, I don't know if you recall, maybe when Batelco started opening up what we refer to as CTOs, Central Telegraph Officers.
I remember the CTOs.
And they had the booths there.
Right.
And people wanted to make a long distance call from the Family Island to Nassau. Even in Grand Bahama, you had to stand in the booth.
Oh, yes.
And God help you if the person, and you know the sign says, if you don't hear well,
right,
you speak loud.
Yes.
So the fact that you're speaking loud does not mean that the person can't hear you, right? And so I think the story goes that there was a fellow by the name of Strother that had a funeral home.
Okay.
In the U.S.
Yes.
And as a result of that, his competitor was always beating him to the deal because the operators would pass through the calls to his competitor instead.
So he got all of them. So
he decided he's going to design this telephone switch to make it automatic rather to eliminate that problem. And so then
story.
BTC went from that, from the ring, ding, 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 ding.
Right.
And in fact, because the line was shared, when you had a phone in your house and I had a phone, you should know that if the phone ring, ting, 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 2 times.
That's your call.
And 3 times if somebody else calls.
So that's what we call the party line?
The party line.
The party line.
The party line.
Yeah. So you would, let's say, for instance, Long Island, if you get a call if you are in Deadman's Key, in Deadman's Key, and the call goes into Clarence Town, you'd have to go to Clarence Town to get that?
Yeah.
How does that work?
If you want to make the call?
Yeah.
Ride your bicycle.
And they will let you
know. And the operators will do it.
The operators will do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was basically the same thing before the telephone, the telegram.
Right.
So the telegram, Batelco would have had messengers who delivered the telegram. And so they would charge you per word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just make this announcement, Leon. We're having challenges with our Facebook page, ZNS official Facebook page. A number of people have been hitting me up in reference to that. But you can get us on YouTube. Immediate Response with Spence, Finlayson on YouTube. We're on there right now. You can join the conversation. As a matter of fact, I'm going to open up the phone lines right now. The numbers to call are 325-5403, 325-5404 or 5, and our Family Islanders 1242-300-8255. We are celebrating and talking about Batelco. Batelco, as it grew to what we have now as BTC.
Yeah. So we lost. Let me put this in. We lost two giants this year
from Batelco.
Well, you mentioned Roscoe Davis.
Roscoe Davis just passed away.
But we also lost Uncle Asa.
Yes, Uncle Asa. Yes,
yeah, Uncle Asa J. Ferguson. I mean, that he was a national builder.
Yes, he was in charge of engineering outside plants.
Outside
plant.
Roscoe Davis is there. So
yes,
I grew up under him. I learned to go down in the manholes, and when I was in charge of Grand Bahama.
So you knew what you were talking about. I mean, you knew.
Whenever I had an issue, the guys engineered, I would call Uncle Asa to come down to look at the drawings that my engineers did,
right,
to give me the go-ahead. And then I learned a couple of things from Uncle Asa. If Uncle Asa pulled up on the job and he said to you, how long is it going to take you to splice that cable?
Right.
And you said, 8 hours.
Right.
Uncle Asa says, I'm giving you 6 hours. Actually, I'm giving you 2 hours.
Right.
So when I became a manager, a supervisor, I go to the guys. I said, how long is it going to take you? They say, 8 hours. I cut in half. I said, because when I was doing that job, whether it's climbing the tower, going down in the manhole, and you're younger than me, so.
Right.
But I learned that from Uncle Asa.
We have two callers on the line. I'm going to come to them right now. I just want to read a text. What a great history. This is from Carol Hanna. What a great history. And Mr. Williams giving well-deserved kudos to some real Bahamian icons. Special hello to him. This is Carol Hanna.
Thank you, yes.
Yes.
I know Carrie.
Carol Hanna. She was here with us the other day. Did a wonderful job. Yeah. And we have a number of people still trying to tune in, your Rotary friends. A lot of them are hitting me up. Okay, we go to
and
line.
I suppose my children are in Atlanta.
Yes, we have to get this sorted out. In Atlanta, that's right. Yeah. Which line we go to first, Mr. Producer? Line 1, Rosemary Hanna is on. Good morning, Ms. Hanna.
Good morning, Spence, and to your guest, Mr. Williams. I'm really enjoying this show.
Thank you.
And it's wonderful to hear him talking about all the great training that our Bahamians had to run Batelco, and it really grieves my heart that that company was sold off the way it was, because we had top people at Batelco, and the service now cannot compare.
Rosemary Clarisana.
I have to get that off my chest.
Yes, I know. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're a good man.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Go ahead, Leon.
All I can say, Spence.
Because you've been at Batelco and BTC.
Nobody. There was no such thing back then as social promotions and stuff like that.
Yes.
I can tell you that Vincent Ash was my boss. And Vincent was in Nassau.
Right.
And I was in Grand Bahama as a senior manager. Vincent cut up New Providence and Grand Bahama into zones.
Right.
And had us competing with one another who could get the lowest fault.
Wow.
Under Vincent Ash administration, Grand Bahama got one day got zero faults.
Zero faults?
Time in history.
Zero?
Not a single telephone was out of service in Grand Bahama.
Wow.
We were repairing faults within 24 hours.
Hi.
And when Vincent came down to Grand Bahama...
To check things out.
Oh, we met him at the airport with all the Batelco trucks, and we had a parade, 8 o'clock in the morning, all day after the guy. And then I got a call from... Chairman Albert Miller. Williams, what's going on down here? I saw all these trucks parking down the road. I almost run off the road.
Sir Albert Miller.
Sir Albert Miller.
Good man.
He was the one who sent me into Nassau.
Wow, good man, good man. Yes,
fantastic,
good man, Sir Albert Miller.
Sir Albert Miller.
We have Ms. Murray on line 3. Good morning, Ms. Murray, you're on.
Good morning, sir.
How you doing this morning?
Oh, for 85, great. Best.
85?
Yeah, I'll be 86 next month on the 23rd.
Oh, wow. My, we have to make that a public holiday then.
Listen to this now.
Yes.
I had to ride my bicycle from Deep Creek to Wynn's Bike to get a message from Barbados. To go, I had to ring 2 rings and 3 rings. And that was something, and I couldn't get there in time for my grandmother's funeral.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it was something I couldn't afford a car then. And when the messenger brought the message, it was late. like a day or two late. And then I had to go up there and I had to ring. You have to ring one bell for this and two bells and all kind of ringing. You have to turn like you're grinding corn.
Yeah.
Yes.
You had to do it, Miss Murray.
I worked in the family island in January 59.
Yeah, wine today.
And do you know, I when I retired at age 50, I never got a promotion.
Never?
Never, with 8 BJCs, 4 GCO level, Bahamas Teachers College certificate, and a BA in primary aid.
Wow.
Wow, Miss Murray.
Yes, in the school had a degree, but me, and I didn't get a promotion.
Wow.
So I left them, I went back, and I went to St. Anne's.
Oh, you went up to St. Anne's?
Yeah, I went up there because at least I got a group insurance, and I didn't have to buy anything for my classroom.
Miss Murray, you're the best.
Listen, you and I have to meet.
Yes, we have to.
Yes. Okay, thanks for listening to me.
Thank you, Miss Murray.
Yeah, I'm an old soldier in this battlefield. You know, I came here in 1956 to get married.
I appreciate you, yes.
Okay, sir.
Appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you.
I went to Meguana. There wasn't a phone.
In Meguana?
No.
We're going to talk about that right now. Thank you so much.
All right, sir.
Okay, Miss Murray. Miss Murray is a regular caller to this program, yes. Passionate educator.
But talking about education, and for the modern fellas, I talk about the engineers.
Yes.
Brad, Russ, and the rest. But then you got to add people like Antonio Stubbs.
Antonio Stubbs, my boy Antonio.
Yeah. Antonio, you got to add Dale Happy.
Dale Happy, I have them on my list. George Burroughs.
You got to add George Burroughs.
George Burroughs.
These are different disciplines. Happy was in the exchange, telephone exchange. Antonio had been radio and toll transmission. George Burroughs, Everett
Speedy. Well, Everett Burnside.
You had him, you know.
Burnside.
They would in the outside plant.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to mention Everett Sweden. Everett Sweden came into, well, first of all, Eddie Granger came in.
Yes. Down in Grand
Bahama. As the first aid. And he talked me up because back then, Libya was trying to recruit telecommunications engineers.
Wow.
And a lot of the expats was leaving and going to Libya.
Oh.
And I wanted to go to Libya.
You wanted to go to
Libya? Oh, the money was good. Gaddafi was playing.
Yeah, he was doing that. We have a call on line one. Mr. Knowles, good morning. You're on.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to watch the show this morning, Mr. Williams, and to see you. And I must say, it's just amazing, sir, your level of recall and the details. I just want to thank you, sir, for your vision. I want to thank you for your contribution to telecommunications and how it contributed to the national development of the Bahamas. Your vision to connect all the islands of the Bahamas and to take it further than that, to connect the Bahamas to the rest of the world through that submarine fiber cable that you envisioned and implemented successfully. Mm-hmm. And I want to say, sir, that you have to write a book. You have to write a book. I want to know, when is the book going to come out? The Bahamas deserves this book. My grandchildren need this book. People need to know the history of where we came from and the successes that we have achieved as Bahamians. To build a submarine fiber network that, if you were to lay it out, will extend from the Bahamas to Trinidad. If you lay it right out in terms of the distance, this was all a part of your vision and your leaders at the time. So, if we don't write this, sir, the grandchildren would never know where we came from, what we did as Bahamians. So I know you probably already started already, and I look forward to reading it. But I just wanted to call just to say thank you for your vision, and thank you for your leadership in Batelco. You probably hear the voice, but don't call my name. But I'll just leave it to say that I was there with you. You remember BHI? You know what? Only a few people who remember BHI. But BHI was a great vision, and unfortunately, it didn't come to pass. But you had the vision, and someone else was able to run with it and pass on the baton. So, thank you, sir. And I just wanted to call to tell you to write the book.
Thanks for your kindness.
Thank you, Mr. Knowles.
I used to speak regularly for Dr. Miles Monroe.
Oh, yes. Okay, then.
On his leadership conferences.
Right, I
and
remember.
Church hands with him and all that sort of thing. And so just before the conference prior to him dying on the plane crash, he said to me, "Don't you ever come back unless you bring a book."
Right.
And he gave me the title of the book.
Yes.
Because, you know, when I got terminated in 2008, he actually called a press conference for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I didn't have a job, Dr. Miles had me come down to BFM.
And speak.
And speak classes on Saturday. And he paid me. And so he called a press conference and he said, "I want you to write the book." The name of the book is The Cost of Success.
Wow.
Bradley Robertson asked me to write a book, How Not to Privatize a Company.
Wow. We have another call on the line, Mr. Williams. This is a fast-moving one today. Mr. Hanna, welcome. You on line 3. Good morning. You on?
Well, a pleasant good morning, Brother Finlayson, and let me send hello and good morning to my great dear friend, Leon Williams, the General, we had an opportunity to work together. He was one time my boss. And I want to say, Leon, man, you gone way back in history, way back from the 1960s when we started on East Street.
Uh-huh.
Now, I know that I started in August the 1966.
Okay.
And you have not missed one beat. You have not forgotten anything, man. But I want to say,
but those were some good times there on East Street, right? Back in the 60s.
Oh yes, God. I tell you, they were the good days back then.
Lester Gardner and well, you had Ormond Poitier, but you had sub operas with Ulysses Cullman, Edsel Strawn, and Nesbitt Higgins, and you know the guys go on, you know.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Lester Gardner was my supervisor in the Strowger Switch department.
Right.
And all those names you call, man, it was a pleasure, you know, working in those days. And all the technicians back then, man, you know, they were dedicated to the job. You know, they used to walk Bay Street with their tool bags in their hands, like Edsel Strawn and all the guys.
Yeah. Me and Steve, that was the first thing they put trainee technician on. They call it Bay Street Walk. And Edsel Strawn had the heaviest tool bag in Batelco.
Yes, indeed.
I used to hate to work for that.
Yeah, man, and you know, I consider myself to be, you know, very fortunate, you know, because I went there and the first job out of school in 1966, school closed in June, and I was taken to BTC on East Street by my uncle A.C. Hanna.
Okay.
And A.B. Johnson was
A.B. Johnson, yes, he was an AGM
of the exchange at that time.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember A.B. Johnson said, "Well, son, we don't have any technician at this time, so what we will do, we will allow you to work along with Lester Gardner and the other senior technicians, you know."
Vance Major and the rest of them.
That's where I started. But, you know, I am very proud to say that I was the last technician that ever worked on the Strowger Switch, and the last Strowger Switch exchange was in Bimini.
Wow.
And I was indeed, you know, privileged to be the last technician to work on that switch.
I remember that. So you had to deal with Peter Vish.
Exactly. When I went there in 1992, the legendary Peter Veach.
The legendary Peter Veach.
Yes, sir. But I want to concur with the caller before me, Leon, man. You have to put the history in writing.
Thank you.
You will do an injustice if you go to the grave without writing that books for the next generation that will come along. And so I agree with him wholeheartedly that you need to put all of this knowledge into writing, and I will indeed commend you for your vast knowledge of telecommunications in the Bahamas. And so you be encouraged and continue to do what you're doing, man. I indeed send kudos to you. So have a wonderful day, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you for the call.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's Brother Anna. Yes, thank you. We have to go to a break, but we'll be right back with our discussion with Batelco's historian, Leon R. Williams. We'll be right back after these messages.
Elevate your experience with BTC Superfast Fiber Home Internet, which unlocks unlimited mobile talk, data, and roaming for as low as $50 per line. Enjoy more savings and value with internet speeds of up to 600 megabits per second and all the connectivity you need on the go. An elevated experience starts with BTC at home, powering unlimited mobile talk, data, and roaming plus great savings. Visit a BTC store or btcbahamas.com for more details.
Abuse increases during a crisis. The physical, mental, and social issues that emerge from abuse affect us individually and as a community. Though meant to protect us, distancing measures can increase the risk of women and children to being abused. The lack of physical contact with loved ones and limited access to support services can increase a woman's risk of being abused. Abusers who drink frequently can be dangerous to women and children. If you've experienced abuse, contact a trusted friend or relative. Develop a safety plan. Choose a trusted person that can help get you to safety. Keep a to-go bag packed with important documents, medication, money, and other essentials. If you or a loved one are experiencing abuse, contact the Bahamas Crisis Center or the Royal Bahamas Police Force. You can also contact us at 819-7652 or 812-0576.
Hey, have you heard? ZNS is everywhere you are when you download the new ZNS app. Whether you're on the move or just kicking back. Miss something on the news? It's there. Want to keep up with a live update? It's there. Or just want to listen to your favorite station? It's there too. Download the app now from the App Store and Google Play Store.
Attention, the Broadcasting Corporation of
the Bahamas.
Welcome back to Immediate Response on ZNS. This is our time for shout-outs today, proudly brought to you by Bahamas Retina and Eye Care Services in Sandy Port, Dr. Dawn Russell Hermans, the ophthalmologist, and her husband, Joseph Hermans, who runs the operation from the office standpoint, and all the wonderful staff out in Sandy Port. Today, we begin the shout-outs with Mr. Andre Forster, the new CEO of BTC, Carol Barnett, Philip Stubbs, Coy Griffin, Barrett Russell, Dave Hanna, Justina Winder.
Dave Hanna, Deputy Chairman of the Board.
Yes, yes. Dave, Patrick Wilson. Pat Wilson. Jeannie Gomez.
Yep.
Altamise Isaacs.
My adopted mother.
Okay. Joyce Drakes.
Yep.
Cheryl Isaacs. Bill Wallace.
She always, Drakes always gave me a gift, always made these gifts in the form of telephones.
There were some great people back then in that organization, hey. Alfred Burrows.
Oh, yeah. The Big B.
Yes. Alfred Phillips.
One of the best engineers we have.
Dale Hoppy Knowles.
One of the best engineers we have.
Antonio Stubbs.
Well, you know, he was not only the vice president, but I promoted him to become senior vice president.
Yes, I remember that.
Technical.
I remember that. Nesbitt Higgins.
My boss. Who made me carry a sign. Mr. Right is wrong.
Irma Duncanson.
Yeah.
Paulette Campbell.
Yes.
Sammy Archer.
Yep.
Now, Mark Johnson. You would remember that name. I'll tell you. I think that's his name. I hope I didn't get it wrong. But when I worked at Batelco, Mark Johnson took me around when I went to Harbor Island. in the big yellow truck. Remember the yellow truck? Yeah. But I'm sure his name is Mark Johnson. Someone had called me to tell me, but I'm grateful to him because he took me around. This other gentleman took me around when I went to Bimini. Edney Sherman.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Edney Sherman and his wife.
Edney and Gigi.
Gigi. Yeah, I'm going to Gigi right now. Gigi Sherman. But someone just talked about Peter Weish.
Yeah.
Peter Weish was a no-nonsense man.
Oh, Jesus. Huh? For God's sake. I think if Peter Weish could have fired me. Because, Grand Bahama technicians maintain the systems in Bimini.
Right.
So you had to fly in. If there was a problem in Cat Key, you got to take a boat, go across to Cat Key, or to Ocean Key from... Peter was no nonsense.
He was no nonsense, yes. Denzel Roll. Denzel calls every day.
Denzel, and in fact, I have a video that I wanted to put because Denzel just got an award.
Yeah, he just got an award for Junkanoo. He tell me he's a valley boy. I thought Denzel. I mean, anyhow.
The pastor Junkanoo, the radical pastor Junkanoo.
Right.
So you see, I know some about some of these folks, right?
You certainly do. Terrence Roberts. Now, he was not with Batelco, but he's in tourism in Freeport. You know Terrence.
Oh, yeah.
Good man.
Yeah.
Derek Johnson. DJ.
The one and only DJ.
The one and only DJ. Ian Knowles.
Listen.
Ian Knowles.
The mayor of Long Island.
The mayor, yes.
And in fact, I can say I want to be just like Ian because you go to the airport in Long Island, Ian has a special parking
for himself.
For himself.
Wow.
The administrator. He's the kingmaker for Long Island.
William Carroll.
Bill
Carroll.
A former union president of the Managers Union.
Yes.
But I want to say, too, about Ian Knowles. Fantastic engineer.
Good engineer.
When we had the Hurricane Joaquin and stuff like that,
right?
We went down there with no telephone services. In fact, he almost crashed in a plane leaving Inagua, he said, to go back to Long Island. And then once he got to Long Island, the water was so deep he had to pole. To go look for his father and his mother and stuff like that.
Oh, my God, that's serious stuff.
So we caught a helicopter to go down there that Sunday. And he said, Mr. Williams, by the time you get back to Nassau, I'm going to have Wi-Fi up. So he put Wi-Fi up for the community. So
awesome Long Islander.
Awesome. Ian. And then BTC had him with Dorian in Abaco.
In Abaco,
to do some restorations as well,
Loxley Cartwright.
Oh, yeah. Locks.
Locks. Couldn't leave Locks out.
No, you couldn't leave Locks.
Patrick Sweeting. I'm getting some trouble right now.
Patrick Sweeting.
I'm getting some trouble. I might leave out some people.
The nickname for Patrick Sweeting is that if you ask him to do anything, consider it done. That's Patrick's nickname.
Renee Hamilton.
Renee Hamilton was my first PA.
I know.
Personal assistant when I came from Grand Bahama.
Yes, and here are some of our regular listeners. Betty Sutherland Brown. Now, Betty Pindle. You don't remember Betty Pindle. Betty worked with me at the Yellow Pages. Val Stubbs, Yellow Pages.
Yeah, okay.
George Burroughs. We talked about George. Hillary Bethel. Hillary Bethel.
I was going to talk with him later on, but no, Hillary Bethel. Hillary Bethel was not just in charge of
Poinciana, right.
Okay. But Hillary also was a member representing the Bahamas for the Restoration Committee for the submarine cables.
Wow, awesome.
So he would have worked on the committees with AT&T and those.
Okay, let me get through these names and then we'll go. We have some callers on the line. Casey Wims.
The one and only
Casey Wims.
So Casey would go around and acquire all the property that we needed for the towers for the cellular services in all the islands.
Nikki Gomez Dawkins.
Nikki Gomez, Bradley Roberts wanted to prove that BTC, along with Greg Bethel, that Bahamians could do what they do. So what we did was that we allowed people like Nikki and Nikki and two others were sent to Ryan Antonio.
Yes, Ryan Antonio.
Was sent to Nortel.
Okay.
For 6 months, we embedded them so they could see how billion-dollar corporations would run. And so when she came back, we made a CIO.
Wow. Yes, that's right. She was a CIO. Mm-hmm. Let me just speed this up. I'm getting some other names coming in. People tell me some other names. Everett Sweeting. Philip Swaby.
Everson was my boss.
Right.
Oh,
So
there's the one and only
Phillips, baby. Naaman Ellis.
Naaman Ellis, my engineer personified. You know, he's
Pastor Eiffel Russell.
But yes.
Eiffel was at Batelco in Low Sound, eh? Yes. Okay, so I go now to I'll come back to those other names that I got.
And then I want to throw this one in here, Godfrey Archer. We used to call him Buller.
Godfrey Archer.
He's now the husband of, I call her Flora.
Oh, yes.
Benjamin
Okay, yes. That's Keith's brother.
That's Keith.
Muggins. We leave out
yeah,
Muggins. How you leave out Muggins?
No, I don't know how you leave. So I want to say, when they wanted to put a switch in Grand Bahama,
right?
Keith Archer came down to Grand Bahama with his team. But Batelco, the Bahamas is the only country in the Caribbean that didn't require engineers from Nortel to come in to do it.
We had our own engineers.
We had our own. They did it
man.
from scratch.
Right.
Godfrey did the Grand Bahama, which was a DMS 100, 200. And then you had people like Nigel Smith.
Nigel, yes.
Who went around
right.
And did the small switches in the family. We call them the RLMs and the DMS 10s and stuff like that.
Well, we got plenty to talk about. They hitting me up, Philip Stubbs and Basel and Bristol. But we'll come back to that.
Philip Stubbs and I was in Jamaica together. Phil.
Which Phil Stubbs this is? And let's come back to that. I got to go to my happy birthday greetings now.
And Colin Johnson was my roommate.
Colin Johnson, I remember Colin.
Was my roommate in Jamaica.
Yeah, no, Colin Bell.
Yeah.
Happy birthday greetings goes out to Cleophas Webb. They call him Dodger, the best rake and scrape drummer in the world. And happy 12th birthday to Dedrick Taylor from his parents and family, especially his aunt, Margaret Elizabeth McKay, right here, formerly of ZNS. She's now in Cat Island relaxing. Happy birthday to Gregory Stubbs in Bimini and Marina Evans. Now, we have two callers on the line. We go to line one first, and that is Pumpkin. Welcome to Immediate Response, Pumpkin. You on?
Good morning, my brother. And good morning to Leon Williams.
Good morning, Punk. How you doing, my friend? Long time no hear.
Always good hearing you. Boy, listen. I hope you stay around for the 50th year. Because and I know Spence would call you back and interview you during our 50th year of celebration. Yeah. But you know, I control some names too. Kawala, I don't want to say if she's still living. Hello to her. She's Jeff Kawala's sister-in-law. The late Jeff Kawala?
Yeah, John Jefferson Kawala.
Right. This Kawala I'm talking about, Spence, she used to work in the mall.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a beautiful lady. She's the one who got my private line.
Wow.
The reason why I needed my private line, because on the host line, when you call on the computer, we have Patel Net back then, and it used to interfere, block the line, right, Leon Rio?
Yeah,
with Patel Net. So in 94, I said I need a private line. Grammy was carrying on, but Grammy said, look, I got my business to take care. So I used to go on the computer like 12 midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, but I went to Miss Carrada and she helped me to get my private line. That's with Batelco. Batelco, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And also the Patel Net. And you know, there's some great people at Patel Net. Ricardo Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember Sherry, right?
Mm-hmm.
The most high-tech lady. and also the late Jennifer Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
These are the part of the Telnet crew. And, of course, you remember Tasha Newborn.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, yeah,
of course. I mean, the number one weightlifting champion of the Caribbean.
That's right.
Yes. and I enjoy her at Batelco, and along with Denise. There's two Denise and Donnell.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Lisa.
Yeah.
So I want to salute all of them, and Leo, I agree. I endorse. Write a book.
Okay.
For the 50th year.
Okay.
I want it for next year. I want the 50th year in 2023. I expect.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But Leo, I would like to salute you too. You were a part of the revolution. You're a part of Flow TV.
Yeah.
And you know, when I was down, we were down our area Eastern area for 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks. We don't have a backup system. You was building a backup system in Grand Bahama.
Right.
You probably need to explain that. If we had that backup system, if we had died in Nassau, they able to switch over to Grand Bahama and still have Flow TV.
Yeah.
Talk about that and have a good day.
Okay. Thank you, my brother.
Thanks, Mark.
Dr. McPhee, always good to hear from you. We have Denzel Roll on line 3.
But while Denzel coming on, let me send a shout out to Ethelyn Major.
Ethelyn Major, yes.
Which is my mother, my adopted mother, adopted me.
Okay.
Her and Bernice Cooper and the rest.
Oh, yes, Bernice. I remember Bernice Cooper.
Right.
They were legendary.
They taught me everything that I know about protocol.
Yeah.
But she was one of the first senior managers, female senior managers, because, you know.
Right.
It was a boys' club, you know.
Yeah.
Naaman Russell, which was the most senior Bahamian at Contel. At the time when BTC bought Contel back in 1986 for $10 million. Addison Key was the one that went to Alabama and did that deal.
Wow.
And then when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about, mention the unions.
Okay, yes, yeah. And the election was just yesterday.
But you see my finger, I voted yesterday.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's go to Denny. Welcome, my brother.
Yes, good morning, cousin. Good morning to what I call my chief telecommunication executive and CEO extraordinaire, Mr. Leon Williams. Mr. Williams called quite a list of names of past leaders at BTC. But I always say to people, the two persons that had the most impact on my time at BTC, let me say Batelco at BTC.
Batelco.
Was Mr. Asa Ferguson and Mr. Leon Williams.
Uncle Asa.
Uncle Asa.
Yes.
Uncle Asa. Anytime the fellas want to pick on me or get me in trouble, I always go to Uncle and Uncle straighten it out. So they used to call me Asa's son. When it comes to the outside plant area that I was initially involved in. I know I sure have said this to you before, Mr. Williams, that I saw you as one of the visionary leaders.
Man, call me Leon Denzel.
I like to call you Leon. Be formal now, man. You know how I go.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I always said you were a visionary leader. And I often say to people, in my time at Batelco and BTC, I can always point on Leon as one who took the time to get to know as many of the employees as possible.
Right.
And not only know them by name and face.
Yeah.
Leon communicated with from the janitress down up. I mean, starting with the janitor straight up. He knew and communicated with every single individual. He was never too busy to stop and talk and chat. And I often say to people, I always remember when I completed my MBA and I was now shifting to customer services, I went to Leon with some ideas. And Leon said, Denzel, put it on paper and you get it to me. And one of them I can remember right now is the thing where we started the pay thing when you come in and you pay on the kiosk and also the greeting. You remember that, Leon?
Yeah. I remember. I didn't remember until you started talking about it.
That's right. We started the greeting program.
Yeah.
Where each customer come in,
right.
we greeted them, welcome to BDC, and we gave them, you had me tell them what to say and how to go about it and what's not. And I think we started at the mall fight.
Yeah.
We initially trained the first crew of greeters, and then everybody picked up on it from.
Right.
I think we went down to headquarters. We started at the mall, then we go on the headquarters, and we went to some of the other little outlets.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, you will not find a Bahamian who is well versed on telecommunication in the Bahamas than Leon Williams. And we saw that by what the organizations internationally took Leon on because of his expertise in telecommunications.
Thanks.
And I often say to people right now, if we had not privatized and the politics didn't get in the way, Leon probably would have still been running BTC and we would have been far better off than we are today.
Thank you, Denny.
But BTC, and I often say to people, the service that we get today is lousy. I don't know what this new CEO of Bahamian CEO is going to do, but I know under Leon, and we had what we call service, because you could go to Leon with anything, and he would listen, and he would try, if he could, to implement it.
Thank you, my brother.
We thank you for your contribution to the development of telecommunications in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, and in some parts of the world. Blessings on your continual journey.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Denny.
I videotape Denzel your award ceremonies, and I circulate it to a number of persons. I have to put it in the BTC chat group. And those moves that you made on stage when you receive your award.
We have line one is Ms. Jackson. Welcome to Immediate Response.
Good morning. Good morning to two of my two friends, Leon and Spence.
Morning.
Morning.
This is very encouraging to me, and it brings back so many old memories. Firstly, I could say, Leon, you were a gentleman before your time, but Telco was not ready for you.
You're kind.
You were too advanced in technology, and, I have to piggyback off Denzel. If the government didn't get involved and whatnot, I really believe you were the man to lead Batelco.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I would like to publicly say that to you.
Thank you.
But Spence, on your show, I must say, this is so enlightening and informing Bahamians. You chose a good topic and you chose a good person. All I can say is kudos to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now that you said Jackson, Debbie Jackson, you remember Debbie Jackson?
Yes.
Got to give a shout out to Debbie Jackson.
Of course.
I got to give a shout out to Deidre
Pinder.
Deidre
Pinder, yes.
Yeah. And also, when they start talking about qualifications and stuff, remember that Cantor was organized in 1985. By 1980, in the Bahamas, Batelco was the founding member. By 1987, Bob Bartlett became the chairman of Cantor.
Mr. Bartlett was
in 87.
Great manager.
He was one smooth.
He was a smooth man. He was a smooth man.
So when I was elected to chair Cantor in 2006, I took over the treasury job from Roscoe Davies.
Right.
When he retired. So that was my first year. And then I came to Nassau in 1999, and I resigned because the workload was too much. You remember there's a lot of demonstrations going on
at that time.
At the time because of the layoffs and stuff. And so I went back to Cuba and got elected as director in Havana, Cuba. And then I went to Jamaica in 2003 and got elected as vice chair. And then I went to Trinidad and got elected as chairman twice. And I took Cantor from 70 members, 70 telephone companies, to 133 telephone companies in 33 countries on 4 continents.
Awesome. We got a text here from Kelly Burrows in Freeport.
Oh!
Kelly Burrows says, Andy and Luis Gomez.
Andy and Luis. Now, Andy.
Great Batelco employees.
A number of, DJ Smith, Derek Smith, too. I don't remember him.
Yeah, I remember Derek, yes.
A lot of Batelco employees left Nassau and went to Grand Bahama to join Contel.
Oh, okay, yes.
You know who Luis Gomez is? You know who he's talking about? Kelly Burris.
Yeah,
you don't know those names.
I don't know those names. No. They're Grand Bahama.
Andy was on it. No, they were
right there.
Okay. I think Luis used to be the secretary for the Prime Minister.
Okay.
Finland.
Okay,
but thanks, Kelly. He saved my butt.
He sent another one out too.
He saved my butt.
Kelly Burrows.
Kelly.
He got another name here: Gloria Lockett and Sarah Ramming.
Gloria Lockett and Sarah Ramming.
And Bill Stubbs, your boy.
Sarah Ramming.
Good Batelco employees.
Sarah Ramming, when I was in Grand Bahama, brought her into Nassau so that she could teach credit and collections how to collect.
Wow.
We would send her to an island like Bimini, and the accounts receivable, when she would leave Bimini, zero balance.
Right.
She collected. There was nobody. She was like a police. She issued her own summons to the people. And he didn't say, but we also have to include in Grand Bahama Naaman. Naaman Russell.
Oh, Naaman Russell, yes,
and
you didn't mention him.
Geneva, Hannah, send me a note.
Okay.
My shout out to her.
All right, okay.
So all these are people that were my mothers in starting with Bernice Cooper and the rest of those people, you know.
Bernice Cooper was a legend.
Oh, a legend in her time.
I have a text here from Rembert Albury in Freeport. He says, good show and a great guest. And him and his wife, they're celebrating 39 years.
Congratulations.
Rembert and Marlene Albury, 39 years of marriage tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, Rembert Albury. All right, Leon, let's talk about...
I just want to say, too, because Denzel, you hear what Denzel said when he finished his master's degrees.
Right.
I think per capita in the government organizations, I think BTC had the highest level of degree professionals.
Yes.
You understand? At my table, I was the dumbest person at my table.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had my last that I had Dr. Johnny Ford had his PhD degree. You had people who had, Talbot Cully working on 3 masters. But everybody, BTC, when you got promoted in BTC, it wasn't just a token position.
Right.
You were qualified.
You knew your stuff.
And kudos to, and thanks, Denzel, but there were 12 when I came to Nassau as COO. It was Sir Albert Miller sent me in, and Prime Minister Ingram made the appointment and stuff.
Right.
When I came to Nassau as COO, oh, by the way, I got to say a shout out to Charles Gibson.
Charles Gibson, yes.
He was my boss when I was in Grand Bahama.
Charles Gibson, yes.
Yeah, he was the Deputy General Manager. So I got to send a shout out.
Definitely to him. Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about the persons who worked in the business office in those areas, Leon Williams. They were mostly women at the time, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember any of those persons that made Batelco what it is today? Fast forwarding to BTC?
My challenge when I came to Nassau as COO, I always tell Flora.
Yes, Jenny Curry. Jenny Curry,
I always tell her, man, listen, I remember a meeting that I had done, I think it was probably at the Hilton, and she brought in all the CTO staff that they can attack me, So
yeah.
I don't think generally at the time knew that I had CTOs in Grand Bahama as well.
Right.
So in Grand Bahama, I had difficulty with Nassau because, number one, I ran my own little telephone company in Grand Bahama.
Right. Now you come to Nassau and it's...
And because Sir Albert Miller was chairman of the Grand Bahama Port Authority and also chairman of BTC, I got a lot done by bypassing Nassau. So people like the AGMs like Cliff Seymour.
Yeah, Cliff Seymour, you have to remember Cliff.
They had serious difficulties with me. But going back to the business office.
The business office.
Like Denzel said, I came in Nassau. I came in 99. There were 1,267 staff. I knew the staff by name from Inago all the way to Abaco.
That's what I want us to do now, Leon. I have to just mention these names. We did call Michael Simonet. Tyrone Williams. We didn't call Tyrone.
We didn't call Tyrone.
And we didn't call Carl Culmer. Carl Culmer.
Carl Culmer was in switching. They're different disciplines. So you got the radio and toll transmission people like Hillary Bethel. Carl Culmer was out of the exchange. So Vincent Ash would have been out of the exchange. Cedric Farquharson would have been out of the exchange. Unfortunately, because I was out of radio and toll transmission, all the general managers, the Albury Curlings of Bob Bartlett's, they all came from the radio and toll transmission side of it, including me.
Right.
Ed Giddens and stuff.
Got to go to a break right now, but we'll come right back. You're listening to Immediate Response. We'll be right back after these messages.
Nature-based tourism supplies almost $50 million in revenue for Androsians every year. These priceless resources will continue to provide renewable benefits for thousands of people for years to come, as long as we take long-term action to preserve what's rightfully ours. The natural environment has played a vital role in our culture and economy for generations. Let's take care of nature, and nature will take care of us.
Looks like he's made a new friend.
Those two hit it off as soon as I put them in the tank together, and they love to play like that for hours and hours. They feel right at home.
It's time to go to the best place ever. Once we're there, we can stay forever. All your buddies can play there. Everyone wants to stay there. Singing and dancing is fun together. Working under the sun together. Always fun things to do there. The world is waiting for you there.
Did you know that 1/3 of all traffic fatalities occur as a result of excessive speed? Excessive speed impedes a driver's point of perception, which affects braking distance. In the inner city, residential areas, and high pedestrian traffic areas, the speed limit ranges from 15 to 25 miles per hour. On the outskirts of the island, especially where a sign is not posted, the law dictates that the speed limit shall be 30 miles per hour. The maximum speed limit for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is 45 miles per hour. Here are some safety tips for you. Avoid aggressive and distracted driving. Reduce excessive speed and drive at the appropriate speed to suit the current road conditions. Avoid operating a vehicle while impaired by alcohol or drugs. Be vigilant and always maintain good visibility of the road, and be mindful of other road users, such as pedestrians. Leave out in a timely manner to compensate for potential traffic delays. Even one life lost to traffic fatality is one life lost too many. On behalf of the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division, please slow down.
This public service announcement is brought to you by FG Insurance Agents and Brokers, the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division, and the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
I've had some very important and troubling news. The Doles, who live south of here, are heading this way in search of food and a fresh water supply.
It seems that the marshland near their hunting ground has completely dried up, but our territory has plenty of water. If those Doles come here, we'll have trouble.
Wake up, a new day is dawning. There's beauty and happiness everywhere. Jump up, destiny's calling. You and your friends have so much to share.
Hepatitis is the inflammation of the liver, which is the organ responsible for filtering toxins from the body, producing bile for digestion, and producing proteins and clotting factors. The most important cause of hepatitis worldwide is viruses, of which there are 5 main types: A, B, C, D, and E. Hepatitis B and C are major health challenges globally, affecting over 300 million persons worldwide. The suspicion of hepatitis may be a challenge, as there are typically no symptoms. However, if infected, non-specific symptoms may include decreased appetite, nausea, vague abdominal discomfort, jaundice or yellow eyes, and abnormal liver function tests. If not treated, hepatitis of any type can lead to cirrhosis and liver cancer, which leads to over 1 million deaths worldwide. If you suspect you may have been exposed to the virus that causes hepatitis, talk to your doctor today and get tested.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the Public Hospitals Authority in conjunction with the Medical Association of the Bahamas and the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
There's a pandemic going around. We have to work hard to stay around. Keep yourself and your family safe. And thank God for amazing grace. There's a solution you must choose. It will help me and help you too. It's available everywhere. Don't take too long, I'll meet you there. I got mine, you get yours. Get vaccinated. I got mine, you get yours. Get vaccinated. It's protecting me, protecting you. It's protecting the country too. I got mine, you get yours. Get vaccinated. I got mine, you get yours. Get vaccinated. I got mine, you get yours. Get vaccinated. It's protecting me, protecting you. It's protecting the country too. I got mine, you get yours. Get vaccinated.
Make your appointment today at vax.gov.bs. That's vax.gov.bs. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health in conjunction with Bahamas Information Services.
Hey y'all, what's up?
Hey, what's that?
What y'all getting?
Listen, I've been waiting to march down some lobster, yeah?
Hi, I'm Matthew. I will be you guys waiter today. Can I take your order?
Oh, I've been jonesing for some grouper dread.
Y'all see this?
See, this ain't gonna work.
Where the fish gone, though?
But how, though?
Don't leave our children with no fish in their future. Protect our sea. Protect our way of life. Protect the Bahamas. To learn how you can help, find us on Facebook at Bahamas Protected. See the future.
Welcome back to our final segment of Immediate Response on ZNS. We're having a discussion on Batelco and the strides that Batelco made technologically and the innovations and so forth, and to fast forward us to the point where we are now with BTC. That is the view of this program today, and I thank BTC is one of our sponsors.
But you know, we only scratched the surface.
Yes, it's always never enough time.
So we have, I have to come back.
Yeah, it's never enough time. There's some people you wanted to mention, though. We want to celebrate those people who brought BTC to where it is now from the early days as Batelco.
Listen, Spence. Salbert Miller told me over and over, you cannot manage what you don't know.
Right.
And as a leader, you have to know your people. There were 2,500 plus people at BTC by the time they started doing the first downsizing in 1998, when the government hired this privatization company to come in, Deutsche Bank, to come in and start the privatization process. And they did the first offering of V7. By 1999, when I came into Nassau and they did that large offering, like 800 people, they got it down to 1,200 in 67. So you're going to miss out some names, but I have to call some names. Talbot Colley.
Yes, Talbot Colley, yes. Talbot is a minister now, eh?
Yeah, he was vice president for Grand Bahama, vice president for the family. He's also president of the union.
Okay.
Janet Brown.
Okay. Janet Brown, yes.
Janet Brown, have to call her name.
Yes.
Janet Brown, yes. We talk about the riggers. The cable guys, they call them riggers.
They call them riggers.
And I want to give a shout out because somebody else talked about the qualification between when Tyco could not build the fiber optic submarine cable in Haiti, Port-au-Prince, we sent a plane load of Bahamian technicians down there. And they built the fiber optic cable from the beachhead all the way to Batelco through the streets. Pulled the cable through the streets, the manholes in Port-au-Prince. And they did it so that we could bring that into service on time and under budget. So kudos to those technicians that went now. For cellular to work and for the microwave networks to work back then, you had to have riggers who built the towers.
Right.
And so Cliff Hanna was one of the first guys that I know.
That's a rigger.
In terms of being in charge of the guys.
Yes.
And then after there was Tom Turnquist. And I can't leave out my boy, Gerald Davis.
Gerald Davis, yes.
Gerald used to go up on the tower in Freeport, 200-foot tower on Pioneers Way in Freeport, stretch out on the rail, and smoke a cigarette. Almost caused an accident because people trying to figure out
what is he doing?
I must also shout out to Anthony Wiley.
Anthony Wiley, you know Anthony Wiley.
And there's my boy, Clement Road. Clement Road was the first and the only Caribbean national on the towers erectors as a director for the towers erectors of America. And although he's retired, he's still a director. So when you talk about having Bahamians to reach that level of the international level to be recognized, internationally, there are 250, 270 plus towers in the Bahamas. All have to be maintained, and all those towers were built by Bahamians.
Just got a text. We didn't mention Howard Darvel.
Oh,
the late Howard Darvel. Yes.
Howard was another one of those said consider when he came to stores and clearing stuff out of customs and all that sort of thing. Howard Darvel. I didn't mention Howard Evans.
Howard Evans.
Howard Evans. Mr. Industrial Relations. And then I got to give kudos to Helene Ferguson. Valerie Wallace Boris. HR Vice President. HR Vice President. Who else? I think we need to give. We didn't mention the union president. The Bridgewaters.
Right.
The Bridgewaters. DeBoris. Shane Gibson.
Yes.
Robert Farquharson. Bernard Evans.
Yes. The
union guy. And then, of course, you got Dina Gould, and they had elections and stuff yesterday. So the unions, one of the most powerful unions in the country was the BCPO union, BCPMU.
Definitely. When we go back to Pete Archer, and then even before that, Charles Bethel.
Charlie Bethel had his Charlie's Angels. Remember them? The girl to Charlie's Angels. But when those brothers say march, you march. Muggins was one of the best. I always tell Muggins he owe me, because Muggins, when we strike, Muggins says we're not going to get cut, and I tell Muggins, BTC cut, Batelco cut me so low I couldn't bleed. When I strike, my paycheck was $39. Morgan says, listen, and he said this to Lady Pinham when she was governor. He says, Leon always talking about this. I tell people, follow Leon. Because if you do what Morgan says, you become CEO.
Right. So, Leon, let's look at... as we have about 25 minutes left, let's look at the move from Batelco to BTC and where we are currently with our new CEO, Mr. Andre Foster, who is doing a stellar job in its infancy stage. He was on the show already by Zoom. We had a wonderful conversation, and I mentioned him that we would be talking about. He thought it was a great idea to talk about the persons who built Batelco to the point where BTC is now. Because we're all Bahamians and stuff like that. So how would we be able to go from, particularly in the Family Islands and everywhere else, from Batelco to BTC? Technologically now.
So well, we got to...
Go ahead.
Prime Minister Ingram decided he wanted to privatize BTC. And so he had a company, a consortium, Price Waterhouse, led by Deutsche Bank. And they sent in their first report in August of 1998. And the executives at that time, since I was an executive, had to respond to the report.
Right.
And so the privatization started rolling. So by 1999, they started the downsizing that he had recommended. And they said that BTC, Batelco only needs to run by 500 people, max. Of course, that was total nonsense at the time, because we had not mechanized our processes, and there was no way you could maintain the kind of service that BTC was good for, from Inagua to North. And so what he did in 1999, in 2002, was they created this company called BTC. And they took the assets of Batelco that they wanted to privatize and put it into BTC. Now, keeping in mind that everything that was Batelco did not go to BTC.
Okay.
The buildings on East Street never went.
Okay.
The $8 million building. The land on Soldier Road didn't go. Lots of the Family Island properties did not go into BTC. And then when the Christie administration won in 2002, it took them until about the 4th of September 2002 to complete the vesting of all the properties and do the name change from Batelco to BTC.
Okay.
That's the administrative part of
on that side of it. I think we have a call on the line on line one. Jeffrey, good morning. Welcome you on.
Pleasant. Good morning, Brother Spence.
Jeffrey, good morning. You on? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Jeffrey. You on? Something is going on. Jeffrey, good morning.
Hello.
Leon. Yes, good morning. You on immediate response. Good morning. You on immediate response. I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God.
And to my good brother in there, Brother Leon William.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure to hear your voice in the national airwaves. I, like many Bahamians, are very gracious and full of great gratitude for the work that you have done to help revolutionize the telecommunications systems in our country. I think what you are doing right now, Leon, is exemplifying what a great leader is all about. What do I mean by that? What do I mean from the mere fact that you are recognized, the persons who have served from the first Batelco, and even now today to what is today, these employees who go unrecognized, speaks volumes to what a true leader is all about. I am very proud to see that you called many of the names, and I too, many of the names, have become very familiar with. During my tenure at the Cable Beach Hotel, I've had the awesome opportunity. I'm going to call two names that you call. I don't know whether they're at the level that you're dealing with now, but I would like to call these names because back at that time, outstanding persons at the Telco. These persons will be in the names. These names will be in the names of Hunt, Philip Swan.
Oh yeah.
Swan. I know. Oh yeah. I know. Brother Turnquest.
Steve Turnquest. Steve Turnquest.
And these are just some of the people that I worked closely with when I was at Cable Beach Hotel.
Philip Swan left BTC and went to Nortel. He was the second Bahamian. My son was the first. He was the second Bahamian hired by Nortel.
And so what you have basically doing here, like I said, many persons, many unsung heroes. The staff is so big at Batelco that the names are so enormous you can't call them all.
True.
True. For the excellent work that they have given to the Bahamas as a whole over all of these decades up to the day. And I'll close on this one point, Brother Leon, which I need some information from you.
Okay.
How pivotal and when did the Paul track station come into play with Batelco? I heard you speak to the Ponciano, I heard you speak to the East Street, and so on and so forth. Where did Paul track come into play as far as the organization is concerned? Spence, thank you very much for taking my call.
You're welcome, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for your kindness.
Appreciate that.
For your kindness.
Right, that book.
Right, thank you.
That book is so important. Too many of our people do not know the history of this country. And what you have offered here this morning is exemplary. Write that book. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, my brother.
I have to say, if the lion does not write and tell the tale, the hunter always becomes the hero.
That's right. That's for sure.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. If you need help, hang up and then dial. Hang up and then dial.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson.
Hello.
No? Okay. Good morning. Hello? I heard somebody.
I thought it did. But the other thing is, so we did the transition and to BTC.
Right.
And then the privatization process started, and that was a long process.
Yes.
It went through 2000.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up.
Good morning. Okay, yeah, that Paul track. I'm sure a lot of people want to know the answer to that, Leon. Sorry.
Paul track was the where the vehicles were kept.
Originally?
Originally.
Okay.
And it was the stores.
Stores, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when we worked at East Street, you had to go to Paul Track to pick up your vehicles.
Yeah.
And so
you didn't take the vehicles home?
No. No.
The engineers and guys never took the vehicles home? You had to leave it in the yard and go back.
Those persons that were on call duties, like in Grand Bahama, the family islands, and folks here,
right?
If you were on call, and you were rusted, call was
okay,
on,
yes,
on call,
okay,
rusted. And you got to remember, since the operators operated 24/7 day working shift, Batelco had its own transport that would go and pick up the operators.
Oh, yes.
For the midnight shift,
yes.
And drop them off to their homes.
Right,
back then.
Right.
So we had an elaborate system.
Yes.
But again, so 2011, BTC was privatized. Nice. So, and then Cable and Wireless came in, and then in 2015, Cable and Wireless acquired Flow.
Right.
And then in 2016, 17, Cable and Wireless sold itself and BTC to Liberty Global. And then in 2017, Liberty Global spun BTC off, Cable and Wireless off to a company, it's Latin American company called Lilac.
Okay. Okay.
So
that's good history.
It's kind of convoluted and trying to understand, know, where we are and where the bosses are and who's in charge and who's not in charge and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So the government still owns 49% of the shares of BTC, plus the additional 2% that went into a trust.
Right.
So the 2% that is in the trust are non-voting shares. So
Okay,
the economic. So when the dividends are shared up, 49% of the dividends goes to the consolidated, and then the 2% of the dividends goes to this 2% of this trust that was created by BTC, the government of the Bahamas, and Cable.
Dale Happy Knowles says, "Good morning, Bishop. Sorry I was tied up and I missed the show." And Dale Happy Knowles, you missed it. He's trying to tune in. I will send you. I will send you the show later, Happy Knowles.
Dale had a fantastic show two nights ago, I believe.
Okay.
He had Dr. Gilbert Morris. He had Ravina Bethel.
Okay.
He had Nahaja Black.
He had a good one.
Yeah.
He had a good show.
Fantastic show.
He had a good show. So, Leon, so now we're fast forward now. We're to BTC.
We're now to BTC.
We're now to BTC. And BTC is holding its own. Talk about that.
BTC has lost market share. You've got a competitor alive.
You have a competitor, so that changes the whole dynamics.
The dynamics.
Right.
It has lost market share.
No longer the monopoly.
My hope is that it does not value, but it seems to market value, losing market value. Certainly, you can't compare BTC today
with
to BTC. No, say 4 or 5 years ago. The revenues.
Oh, just 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah. The revenues, like in 2017, was in the neighborhood of about 328 million when I was there. The revenues today is probably under 200 million. Mm-hmm. So that's like 100.
So what's in your opinion? What's the future for telecommunications in this country?
The future for telecommunications, you have to be very visionary in telecommunication, and there are companies, there are CEOs who operate trying to grow the bottom line by cutting costs. Mm-hmm. You've been in the business long enough, and cutting costs ain't get you no place.
Right. Right.
And there are people like me who look at growing the top line, and so we built a submarine cable to Haiti, and then we were building a submarine cable to Cuba. Mm-hmm. 11 million people. Haiti had 10 million. When we didn't accept the license, first right of refusal to go to Haiti, Digicel went in. Mm-hmm. And the same guy who was here for Alive, the CEO, was the CEO for Digicel in Haiti. And Digicel was clearing out of Haiti $700 million a year on prepaid cellular.
This is a text. Sorry, Leon. A text on our WhatsApp line. It says, Good morning, Mr. Williams. I heard you mention Mr. Patrick Speeding, a lead investigator, great worker. Consider it done.
Consider it done.
Excellent service in Batelco, and that's from Yvonne Cooper. Thank you.
Oh, I better mention his boss, Ed Miller.
Ed Miller. Yes, you have to mention Ed
listen,
Miller. Ed Miller.
We're going to die if we didn't call Ed Miller's name.
Yes.
We told him Pat.
You got to call Ed Miller's name.
Pat reported
so I can put you on the spot right now, Leon Williams.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the Family Islands, and you tell me.
And Charles McPhee. I got to report Charles McPhee. Charles McPhee was internal audit.
Okay.
Oh, he audited me so many times.
Charles McPhee. Yes.
But the guy was a great guy. He had probably about 3 master's degrees. You know? And he always would tell me, Mr. Williams, you are either going to fail because the risks you take.
He always said that. Okay. San Salvador, who would be the Batelco people back then that you recall? The island of San Salvador.
You're running me
I gone
hard.
far. I gone too far for you.
You're running me hard now. I'm getting kind of old. San Salvador may go. I could picture the people, There
wasn't a Larimore fella.
I could picture the people.
Charlie Jones, I guess, in Salvador.
Because in those islands, when it came time to Christmas, there was a competition. So our party was the best corporation party
anywhere
in Nassau.
Right.
But then within BTC, you had the Paul truck
crew.
Asa had his party.
Yes.
Then you had how could I forget? Mr. Ferguson, Lawson Ferguson.
Lawson
Ferguson from Soldier Road.
Yes,
Lawson Ferguson had it. How could I forget CC, Charles Campbell?
Charles Campbell. Where was Charles Campbell?
Charles Campbell was at Poinciana.
Right. Yeah, okay, let's go to Abaco. Who do you recall in Abaco?
Oh, boy. Abaco.
Well, I know
I sent
one of the managers.
I'm trying to remember his name, but I sent Tellis Simnett down there to replace him.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I remember Tellis.
Tellis. Now, that was a challenge because Tellis was the first black Bahamian
to go in that area. Yes. There was a man named Mr. Albury. Mr. Albury. Mr. Albury.
Albury.
Yes.
And then, of course, there was Boris. Boris from that was in Abaco.
No. Which Boris was that?
Boy, I'm trying to remember his first name.
Yeah.
Abaco. But now you got the Thomas Adleys and
Thomas Adley, Thomas Adley. Thomas,
and not the great technician and Eugene Dawkins and the rest of those guys.
I know that crew.
I call them the pastors and the bishops. And I call the girls in the Abaco my choir, my church choir.
So let's go to Exuma. Tony Bethel. Tony Bethel.
There's no one. There's no one in Tony's class, eh?
Tony Bethel.
But before Naaman came into Nassau as VP, Naaman was also in charge, and of course you remember Sophie.
Yes.
Sophie Hardroll.
Sophie Hardroll, that's right. Yes.
In charge here.
Yes, Sophie Hardroll.
But Tony Bethel there was special,
Yeah, and then there's a pastor.
When you came to the Labor Day parade, you remember he always wore the tattered clothes with no shoes.
Right.
And he walked from
Lyndon Clark.
Lyndon Clark, yes.
Yes, he's a pastor now, I think. Yeah, and then there was another pastor. You had a lot of pastors.
A lot, particularly on the family eye.
Yeah.
Even in a Lutheran, I remember we went down there for a meeting and the pastor, he had taken the package. I'm trying to remember his name, man.
That was in Culmer.
No. And he preached. I remember his message so well on privatization, how Moses took the wheels of the economy of Egypt.
Yeah.
So with the various flags. And I got to give a shout out to Bettina Knowles and stuff down in.
Yeah. Again, the notes say Moss.
And
Moss would have been.
Shout out to Hinsey Rose and Andrus.
Got to go to Andrews, now, Brother Hinsey. And then, of course, by Reverend Eiffel Russell. He's called to pray for a number of times.
Right.
Brother Hinsey.
Right.
Yeah, those people.
Well, the Hinsey brothers, eh?
Hinsey brothers, yes. Spanish Wells.
Boy, listen.
Who you remember over in Spanish Wells? Batelco.
I try to remember. My last trip to Spanish Wells, we went to open up a CTO, and Jerome Sawyer was there. And I teased Jerome, because every time we go to an island, Jerome always got a family on the island.
Oh, you related somebody, yeah.
Right.
Lot
And
of
I
family.
said, I believe Spanish Wells is the only island, but I believe Jerome claims some people, some family on
Spanish Wells too.
No, I can see the faces, but I can't remember names.
JJ, you remember JJ?
Who could forget JJ?
All right, okay, all right, yes. All right, Carol Hanna, and they're saying an excellent show. We're having some challenges here, but let's continue on, Leon. The numbers to call today, 325-5403, 544 or 5. Family Islanders, 1242-300-8255.
And so moving forward,
yes.
BTC as well as Cable Bahamas, both have to find creative means. The landline,
that's phasing out.
Cellular,
people are not using landlines anymore.
Cellular
basically.
phones are there, but the money is in the data, and so the revenues are going to go down. You have to keep investments, right? For example, we're sitting in the Bahamas at 4G. The rest of the world is moving to 5G.
Yes.
You have to find money to move to 5G. The investment is going to be probably creating twice as many towers. You got about 35 towers in Nassau for BTC. Then you got another 35 for Alive, 40 for Alive. So 250 to 300, almost 300 towers in the Bahamas for BTC.
Right.
And so if you're going to go to 5G, and what we did back then, BTC is a national security risk to the country if it fails. You understand what I'm saying?
Need to succeed.
When the Flamingo got shot by the Cuban MiGs, right?
Yes.
Those people could not communicate with Nassau. So if you're going to close your borders and our border supporters with the problem that you've got now in Haiti, those people got to be able to communicate back to Nassau where the decision-making process is. And you need something, a system that is strong, which means that you have to constantly invest. In 2003, 2005, the Bahamas was named the #1 connected country in the Caribbean. It was the third connected country in the Americas after Canada, the United States, and then it was the Bahamas.
Awesome. We got another call on the line. On line 4, Miss Amanda Adderley, good morning. Welcome to Immediate Response.
Better known as Mama Gold.
Mama Gold! All the way from Grand Bahama, eh?
Yeah, Leon.
My love, how you doing, honey?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the thing to turn the thing off. I'm not gonna be long. I just want to let you know I love you, I miss you, and I'm enjoying this thing to come. We love you from overseas there.
Oh.
And I love you. So from my son Charles to you, I love you. God bless you, and I'll be praying for you.
Thank you, Mama Gold. Thank you, Mama Gold.
Thank you so much.
You know, when the unions wanted to strike, if you didn't get overseas to go out with you, nothing was going to happen.
You got to have overseas.
You got to have overseas.
Yes.
And Mama Gold.
So what happens now with overseas? Does overseas still exist?
No.
That is gone.
That is gone.
And that was such an integral part of Batelco.
It was an integral part of Batelco.
Overseas.
And we didn't even talk about, I had some notes here to tell you when we changed from 5 digits to 7 digits, and then from 7 digits to 10 digits.
My.
When we brought caller ID in.
Yes.
And all the technology. Because, you know,
a lot of technology.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of stuff came up.
A lot of stuff came up. I could always tell people who grew up in the age of 5 digit, because if they're given their telephone number, you hear them say 3, 2, and then they'll give you 7, so and so.
Right. They come back.
And of course, you know, the telephone numbers, the first 3 digits tell you what area they're in.
Yes, they did. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And tell you what island it's the phone number's on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Well, we only have, Mr. Producer, how much minutes we have left? 3 minutes. In full disclosure, I worked at Batelco.
Full disclosure.
I worked at Batelco in the directory department, the Yellow Pages department. And you're so right, Leon. My territory was broken up into numbers. The 324, I knew what area that was. 328, I knew what part of the island that was, and so forth.
But even in directory, the technological advances in directory in terms of the paperweight.
Right.
And the printing and the colors and the inking and all that sort of thing that took place, and the collations that took place and the pagination that took place in directory. I mean, that was a science to itself.
Exactly.
You know, you just didn't go there and sell and then come back and proofread. And you had to be able to proofread.
Exactly.
Because the quality of a directory is how much credit you got to give back to the customer for
right.
mistakes.
That's right. Yeah, and those mistakes can haunt you for a long time.
For a long time.
I had an experience personally.
Even when
still haunts me to this day, and I've been gone for 34 years.
Even when you embrace them financially, they figure the institutional damage that is caused because you put the wrong number in there, and then the person who's being called, you know, that's a problem.
That's a problem. That's a serious problem. Leon, give me your final comment. I have 35 seconds, according to Sean the Dapper Don, and I give you the 35 seconds.
My final comment is that I worked for the greatest organization in this little Bahamas, Batelco and BTC. There is none under. The staff that has gone through there, we have raised people. Bradley Roberts' first job was at BT. His daddy used to work for BT.
I understand. Former Prime Minister Ingram worked at Batelco.
His first job was at
yes. A lot of people came through.
And it helped to build the middle class.
Yes.
And we kudos to the unions who did what they did to be able to get the contracts and the benefits necessary. It educated us. And BTC paid for it. You know, I went to Jamaica to College Arts and Science and Technology on an in-service award from BTC.
Good stuff.
Just like Valpole, who went up to...
Ed Valpole Giddens.
Who went to London. I have to come back because we got to talk about, Barrett Russell and Mrs. Simonet and those people that are still alive, you know.
Andy Halkitis.
Andy Halkitis.
We got to go now, but I think...
He was in charge of the family island.
Yes, I remember him.
And his son worked there.
His son worked there, too. I remember him. Well, thank you so much, Leon Williams, for being here today as we took this trip down memory lane with Batelco /BTC. We wanted to recognize the persons who made the company what it is to this day. I thank Mr. Andre Foster and the whole group for their vision, for having me do this program today.
Let me give my shout out and thank him too for allowing me to be able to do this.
Yes, thank you so much. He's on vacation right now, but we want to thank you, and I leave you with this note. God said, build a better world. The world is so large and complicated now, there's nothing I can do. But God in all his wisdom said, just build a better you.
I just want to leave this word.
Yes.
We live in the shade of a tree we did not plant. We will plant a tree whose shade we did not live in.
Amen.
So I'm living in the shade of the tree that Barrett Russell and Albert Curling and those built.
Thank you.
I will hope to build plant a tree that the next generation will live in.
Thank you, Leon. Appreciate it.
The views expressed on this show, interview, or program are not necessarily the views expressed
by the ZNS Radio Network
and by extension the Broadcasting Corporation of
the Bahamas.
We've heard your concerns about